We are live on May the 4th be with you. Star Wars Day.
It's not Star Wars Day anymore.
Well,
not where
in
you're
Korea,
at.
it is not.
I don't think they really celebrate it there anyways.
Yeah. But if anyone here, we're the Cinema Guys. I'm here with Justin and the Cinemaiden. And then we are joined by our friends Jason, on this side of me, from History of Bad Ideas.
Hello, hello.
And Jared and Lydia from Frontal Nerdity.
Hello.
History of Bad Ideas is a podcast that's really good. It's really fun to listen to because they just kind of talk, and it's really exciting and eclectic. And I like all the topics. That's what's my favorite thing. And then
Thank you.
Full Frontal Nerdity, they make very cool buttons. But my favorite thing about them is they can adapt really to any subject, whether it's Nicolas Cage or like the most random Keanu Reeves movie or something. They all, and sometimes we can ask and you get what we ask for, but sometimes it's like, oh, you nailed this and I didn't even know that I wanted that, but now that I'm looking, I want this. They're really good. Whatever thing drives you is always the same thing. I'm like, I love that too. I want all those. Anyways, I like your buttons.
Thanks, man.
And Ashley's in Korea, so that's why
Yeah.
don't have May the 4th day.
May the 4th day.
Can't
They
see
have
her
like
anymore.
Parasite Day,
No.
the day that we won our famous Oscar, and
Well, it's Star Wars is big in Korea too, correct? So
No.
Not really.
No.
they all.
I like her.
Well,
I like her answer. No.
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 Not at all. Most of the kids, like when Star Wars came out here, I was like trying to talk to them about it and show them it, and barely any of them knew what it was.
Okay then.
Weird.
I feel like we're talking to a robot. Just you don't even know if Ashley's really there. Just sort of. No. Oh, well, it's Star Wars Day. That's exciting. Did anyone do anything Star Wars-rific?
Did you hear the big news that came out today of officially Taika Waititi is filming a Star Wars movie?
Ooh, okay.
I'm more excited about Nicolas Cage being the Tiger King.
I mean,
Is
that's
that
pretty
true?
too.
What?
Yeah, but
That
I gotta say, I saw a tweet about that, and I was like, "Oh no, that makes sense." It was like
It does make sense.
No, the tweet was like, sometimes the casting is so spot on, it's kind of like uninspired and boring.
That's actually a really good thought. Because it's not, I'm like, yeah, he's crazy enough, but I also like I don't know, I like a serious actor trying to take it on too, because I think he's going to go too crazy. He's going to be crazier than Tiger King himself.
He's gonna go to Tiger King. Is that what you're?
Yeah.
I despise Danny McBride. I know. But I think, I'm sorry, Justin, but I actually think Danny McBride might have been perfect for it.
Oh yeah, I can see that. I used to hate him. I used to really not like him either. Just not him, obviously, but like the roles he played. I used to really, but I loved the Righteous Gemstones so much. It made me go back and watch other Danny McBride things and like them more. But I used to be like that. I used to not like him.
Did you watch Land of the Lost? That will make you hate him.
Yes, I did.
That would turn anybody against like.
Yeah, no, that's why I think it was that, and also I thought in Tropic Thunder he wasn't like all of those. I just didn't care, and then Righteous Gemstones comes out, and I think that show is so good that it makes me. And he plays the best role.
I love him in Hot Rod.
Oh, and Hot Rod, yeah.
Because
Hot Rod is so good.
I like to party.
yeah, I like, it's just I think Hot Rod's like an underappreciated American comedy, like in general anyway.
Yeah, and we just found it like over quarantine. It was me and the kids, and we'd watch like Dodgeball. We watched a couple other ones. It's like, well, and they love Brooklyn Nine-Nine. And so I was like, oh, this is Jake Peralta. And they're like, yeah, let's watch it. And we were like dying. Like when he falls and keeps falling, like, we couldn't stop laughing. We were like choke laughing. It was good.
Choke laughing.
And like every time he goes to jump, Even in the end, he never makes it.
I like how you're laughing that hard right now.
It's pretty damn funny.
It's good. You gotta watch Hot Rod, man.
My favorite though is when they're dancing by the van.
Yeah,
like
it's
just
pretty
that.
good.
Two of hearts.
What about you, princess?
I've also been watching Lego Masters though at the same time, like in this, and so when Will Arnett shows up in Hot Rod, Harrison's like, "It's the Lego Masters guy." And we're like, dude. Yep, that's who he is. Okay.
Lego Masters was awesome.
My
It
kids
really
love
was.
Lego.
It was fantastic.
I
I
enjoyed it.
like the couple that won. They
No,
Yeah.
I wanted
shit out of me.
Boone and the other those
Mark
two
and
guys. I wanted
Boone.
them to, yes. I wanted them to win so bad.
Well, but I
Well, they
mean,
got gypped.
they're fine. Good for them and their baby that they announced on national TV before they told their family. But
Oh yeah, they played that up hard.
Don't
Yeah,
you
they
think that
Yeah.
given all
was
the resources they had, that you could have made any of that stuff? I think I literally could have made anything they made if I had the available Legos and what was it, like 10 hours or something?
I
You
could
think
have
you
done-
could build something that big.
There's a few things where I was like,
elaborate.
okay, I wouldn't know that mechanic of Lego, like only a few things. Other than that, some of the stuff that was actually, I think, bad. I was like, oh, really? This is what you made with unlimited Lego resources?
Well, what was
Especially the alien ones, whether they exploded, I was like, this is the best you could come up with? Like, it was bad.
Okay, time out.
I think we're all sitting here like, okay, so do we need to give you a time limit,
I
Justin?
think
No,
so.
it's the resource. They have all the Legos. Like, if you really like, oh, I have all these. Yeah, I could make a lot of. There was a few where I was expecting the amusement parks. I thought were kind of lame. Like, I mean, fine,
Episode.
but like, I mean, there was some where I was like, okay, that one's awesome. I'm trying to think. I think there was one where they had like elevators, and they really had a knowledge of the mechanics that I wouldn't have had. I wouldn't have had that knowledge of those kind of Legos. So then I was like, oh, I couldn't have done that. But the ones where they're just building, I was like, oh, well, yeah. I mean,
So one of the pins we're gonna make for you in the very near future is one that just says, "I'm not impressed."
well, and the thing is, I'm not like a snob or I actually also didn't. My kids loved that show, and I didn't. I thought Will Arnett was boring in it. I thought the only thing that was fun was like the last 2 minutes where I'm like, okay, well, who won? All right, that's interesting. Everything else, I was like, this is boring. I didn't
Your
like
Legos don't impress me.
I'm one that says, "I'm not
That's
impressed."
it.
Another pin that says, "This is boring."
I
Another
don't-
one that just straight up says, "Will Arnett sucks."
I love Will Arnett. That's the thing, is I think he's awesome. I just thought he didn't look like he was comfortable on stage.
I thought it was great because I thought he just like played into the discomfort of it.
Mhm.
Like, this is absurd, and I'm not even gonna act like it's not, which is why I loved it, because he was just like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, and I would purposely say
whatever.
Legos all the time, because every time they pluraled Lego, I was so annoyed. It's like, all right, we get it. We get that you know something about Lego.
No, it's because the Lego company will not let them.
Oh,
Like, they're
Well,
hard to worry about.
that would make more sense,
Yeah.
because I found
Yeah,
it
like,
really
you
annoying.
cannot say Legos. Like, if you work for them, you cannot say Legos. You have to say Lego bricks or Lego, like a plural thing.
And
So
since
for them
they're
to
part
do
of
a
the show,
there's no
Yeah.
way they would have been allowed to do that. Like,
Well, that makes more sense, because I was like, we get
Yeah.
it, people. You know it's a Lego.
yeah, like,
But the rest of the world doesn't care.
yeah.
Okay, so my 10-year-old can, put together these monstrosities of Minecraft and all these other Harry Potter Lego sets. I can barely get like the 20-piece ones together, the 30-piece ones. I hate Lego. I hate it. And I even love that show.
Yeah.
Growing up, I glued all my Lego pieces because I
What?
hated that. Oh yeah, because I built the
You're the
castle.
Craggle.
I am.
President business.
You're president business. What?
But even I like that show. I really enjoyed it.
I
And
don't
my
know
whole
what it was. It's just something was off with me. And I like
you-
most shows. I don't like.
do you think it's because the contestants pale in comparison to your skills? Is that
No,
why?
it's not that either. I just.
That's the sense that I get.
I did.
Yeah, I do too.
So the first time I watched it, I was actually. It was weird. I wasn't here. I was with a friend, and we were like, oh, let's put something on. And we were at a place where it wasn't in cable, so it was like 5 channels. And so I was like, oh, it's supposed to be pretty good. And of course we had some drinks. So I was like, this is boring. And then we switched over to Forged in Fire, and I was like, now this is really fun. They're making knives out of shopping carts, and this is really awesome. So
But all they needed to do was fashion cutlery out of Lego.
And then see if it worked.
Weapons.
Yeah.
I did like the fact that they destroy them. I think art that can be destroyed is awesome. That the impermanence of art is really fascinating to me. Like I like that. Like you can make something that looks awesome, and now we're just gonna burn it or destroy it. That was cool. I liked that part.
Fair.
Are you missing Burning Man this year?
I've never been, but I've always wanted to. Although I've heard it's not cool like it used to be. I heard it's not free love and great. It's now expensive and,
As
Super
most things are.
Yeah.
So, how about them Star Wars?
How about that Star Wars Day?
Is that today?
I think Ashley left.
I'm here.
The last Clone Wars episode came out. You were talking about it earlier, Justin, of if we watch it. I need to catch up. I'm only
I think I'm only episode 5 or something. But it's good. It's really good.
I'm 6 seasons behind.
Oh, it's so good. Well, then hold on. Have you done Rebels? Because if you haven't done Rebels, then you're like a lot more than 6.
No, I love Rebels. Loved Rebels.
So good.
That was better than any of the prequels.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But no, I would like to watch all of Clone Wars, and my oldest son has done it, but I have not. And I gotta get the time to do it.
Well, and it's unlike Rebels, which had a pretty good episode almost every time. Clone Wars has like 1 good episode and 4 like nonsense ones, and then 1 good one and 4 not. Like it's not like good every time, so it's kind of tough to watch. There's like all droid episodes and stuff like that.
Oh.
Like, wait, we don't need.
There's what 2 all Jar Jar episodes?
Oh, I think it's a 5 or 4 part series called Jar Jar. No,
are you kidding?
No, it really is.
No.
Okay. Oh, God.
And it's like he's like he's trying to be serious, but he's still goofy Jar Jar as a a senator or whatever he is.
In this economy.
Oh. In this economy. Oh. There's one like 5-parter that is a little frog guy who hates droids but has to do a whole episode with droids for 5 episodes, and it's really bad.
Oof.
He like lives in a droid's head or something. I don't know. It's dumb. Anyway,
there are some definite filler episodes. They could have shortened a lot of it, but overall, it was good.
Yeah, it is. So what's the are we doing trivia or something?
Well, is there anything for Star Wars Day? Is there anything that you every year do, or is that like this year did you do anything special since we're all stuck at home in quarantine? We watched 4 of the movies.
We had big plans to watch lots of movies, and we did not. We made it through like 1.5.
Okay.
I gave the kids options. Do you want to watch Star Wars? But we've been into Mission Impossible, so they picked Mission Impossible 4 Ghost Protocol. So we watched that instead.
They chose poorly.
They're in. They think it's cool. They've never seen anything like, because they don't know what James Bond is. Like they asked today, they were like, how come there's like a new invention every episode? And how come they wouldn't use these in the first episodes? I'm like, because that's what's fun. It's a new damn invention. What I don't know. Like, why does anyone write anything in a story? Why are you asking these dumb questions? Like, well, if he had these gloves here, he could have used those in the first one. I'm like, I don't know, man.
Did they figure out why Tom Cruise runs like that?
Oh, I point out the Tom Cruise running, and finally they are like, I guess he does run weird. And I'm like, and apparently he likes it because it's in everything.
I wish I could show the comments on the screen like we used to be able to do, but we got one that says, if there were a Snyder cut of The Last Jedi, could it make the movie worse than it is?
From
Doug.
What?
Oh.
I love Last Jedi.
So do I.
Oh yeah, let's go around first. Is everyone here basically like them all, or is there people who are like, we hate these ones?
Are you
I'm
one.
I'm probably the one that likes all 9 across the board.
No,
so.
I am the one. I've always liked all 9.
Okay.
But I don't like them as much as you do. As a general, I love them.
Okay.
I've never been a
I was
hater
under
of
the
1, 2,
impression
and
that you
3.
didn't like anything.
I get that they're
like at all.
Only Legos. Only Legos. He doesn't like.
Right.
I
Only
don't hate a lot of things.
Arnett's biggest fan. Right. Right.
No, but I do have a love for all 9 movies, even though I did think some of them weren't as good as other ones. But.
Well, yeah.
I
Could
just
you have-
like the prequels. Just hate them.
Yeah.
Absolutely hate them. I love 4, 5, and 6. 4 is still absolutely will always be my favorite. Just
Brad's a 4 guy too.
Yeah,
I'm
Four's
a
my
5.
favorite.
But with 7, 8, 9, I really liked Force Awakens. I thought it was awesome. I was fine with the fan service. It was awesome. It was a whole new Star Wars movie. I loved Last Jedi. I thought it was fantastic.
Same.
And with Rise of Skywalker, we always go opening weekend, and normally we go see movies. We'll go see it multiple times that weekend. We were like, nope, don't even want to.
I would concur with that.
We watched after watching it again. We were like, I mean, I'm gonna try to appreciate it for what it is and try to make it make sense. And it sucks they're doing this BS retconning nonsense, but whatever. I can deal with it. It's okay. I'll enjoy it for what it is. I still like it better than the prequels, but no, Last Jedi was awesome.
The last 45 minutes is awesome, I think, of the new movie. Like the last 45 minutes, I was like, yeah, this is what I've been wanting to see.
It was a
I love
big
Rey and Kylo.
Well, yeah, but I'd read like a bajillion fanfics that was that exact script.
No.
Oh.
So like
Maybe that's where JJ got it. He's like, ooh.
just like went on Tumblr.
I think they were
script
trawling
from
Tumblr and they were like, nope, this sounds good. We're gonna have
That
it.
one right there is really good.
Yeah, like I'd read this years ago, like right after Force Awakens came out.
Yeah.
So when I watched it, I was like, huh, okay. This is a multi-million-dollar fanfic right now, but okay.
I thought Rise of Skywalker, I did not like that at all, and I wanted to. But I agree. The last 45 minutes were okay. I wasn't even mad that the Emperor came back. I don't care. That's fine if you want to do that. Rey, I thought was dumb that she was a Palpatine. Just let her have nobody. Just be a nobody.
Right. I like that.
I love Last Jedi. That's my probably top 3 for me.
Okay.
I love Force Awakens. I really enjoy. I actually like Force Awakens better than New Hope. I like New Hope, but
same thing.
Yeah, Force Awakens did it better.
Sentimental.
And then I love the originals, and then the prequels. Except for the last 45 minutes of the Revenge of the Sith, I could do without those.
Yeah.
It looks like it's.
Hold on. The last 45 minutes does include the phrase, "What about democracy, Anakin?" I don't know if I could ever like that.
Is it better than you ready? Ready, Brad? Here's my first impression. Ready, Justin? I don't like sand. It's dirty. It goes in places it shouldn't. I don't like sand. Thank you, Anakin. Go away.
Well, we did get a comment that says Jason is an idiot, though, so his opinion doesn't count.
Wow.
From Doug.
Oh,
It's really tough.
You know, the
critics
funny
today.
thing is, Doug is our #1 fan on History of Bad Ideas. So I don't think he likes me. He's related to me, but I don't think he likes me.
Cinemaiden, I know you enjoy all 9 of them, correct?
No, I hate #1.
Okay.
Did you hate #1 when you first saw it, or did you hate #1 when everyone started pointing out to you how bad it was?
No, I've only seen it
I don't
once.
think I thought it was that bad when I saw it, and I hadn't talked to a soul.
I only saw it once, and I didn't like it. I didn't want to watch it again.
Okay, so did you see it when it came out, or was it?
You were
and
7,
you haven't
right?
watched it since.
Were you 7 for real?
I think she was like 2.
No, she was born in 92, right?
When did that movie come out?
I was born in
1999.
88, guys.
88. I was really thinking you're born in 92. You graduated high school in 92? No? I don't know.
2007.
So
no.
what are there out of the 9? What are your top 3? Mine are A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and then Revenge of the Sith. Those are my top 3.
Huh.
We're only doing the 9, no offshoots.
Out of the Skywalker Saga.
Skywalker. Okay.
Otherwise, Rogue One would be in my top 3.
Rogue One's a good one.
Rogue One's the best one.
Yeah,
agree.
I agree.
Films, aside from Last Jedi.
Everyone dies.
Yep.
Everyone dies. Spoiler.
Everyone dies. It's like Olaf.
Oh, everyone dies.
Yes, exactly like Olaf.
At least they have their parents. Their parents are dead.
Parents are dead. So our kids have been like reenacting that. Actually,
Yes.
Harrison reenacted that about Star Wars though. After he watched it, he goes, Ben dies. Leia dies. Everyone dies. And we were like,
Wow.
crap. Okay, there you go.
To answer
You're
Brad's
focusing on the wrong parts.
to answer Brad's question, though, I think for me it would probably be 5, 8, 4.
Okay.
Yeah, so
4, 5,
Empire,
8.
Empire, Last Jedi, New Hope.
I would say either 4, 5, 8 or 4, 7, 8. And I'm not sure with 5 and 7. 4 will always be
It.
Mostly because just of all the meaning it has for me, and like, you know, that was like Star Wars initially, and I really like 8. It might be 4, 7, 8. Yeah, it might be.
I was thinking 586 or 587. One of those two. I don't know. I really like 6, but I like it in theory because I loved it so much when I was little. But 7 was really good.
Yeah.
I'm same way. I'm doing Empire, Last Jedi, but that can be switched with Return of the Jedi. And I know Return of the Jedi is not the strongest, but I'm with you, Justin. I really love that movie.
I do too.
And I like Force Awakens. I think that might be that might be right there in the honorable mentions. I really like. I don't know why. I just really did. And then New Hope after that.
We just rewatched it again today, and it's really good.
Can I ask a question of the group? Has your opinion or view or sort of the way you view Episode 6 changed since Episode 9 has come out?
Has my opinion of which one's changed since Episode 9?
Has the way Episode 6 has the way Return of the Jedi plays to you changed now that The Rise of Skywalker is out and the story is complete?
I almost like, because when I watched it today, I sat like when Vader throws him over, I'm sitting there watching that scene going, he doesn't really burst into this little flame that comes up. Like, yeah, I did think about it more when we were watching it. Like,
somebody had sex with that thing. And that's weird.
No.
He was already deformed when this happened, right?
But Abrams said nobody did. It was a clone.
I think he used the Force to manipulate.
Rey's dad was a clone of Palpatine.
Oh,
like
that's right.
Boba Fett, Jango Fett things. Mm-hmm. Nobody had sex with him.
So if you're a clone, are you still Palpatine then? Or are you like a...
Yeah, it's like a exact genetic replica.
Palpatine-ish.
So like she would have, which means Rey would have been even though that one was technically her grandfather, genetically she'd be half Palpatine or like half Emperor, you know what I mean?
Her father.
Because her father's a clone.
Oh,
what?
Gross.
Grandpa.
Dumb.
Her dad, grandpa, yeah.
Her dad, grandpa.
I think I saw this on Maury Povich. And
there is a lot of, apparently, I haven't read the novelization of Rise of Skywalker, of the clone side of everything in that.
Yeah.
So I think they took the Thrawn trilogy that came out in the 90s and took that whole clone piece, cloning the Emperor out of it, and remember those? Let's put that in the new one.
Not explain anything about it.
And let's throw everything. And so that you have to explain it all afterwards. what does this mean? Oh, well, let me explain what this actually meant. Like,
and you know what? Even with Palpatine being thrown into the pit of despair by Vader, I don't think Rise of Skywalker has affected me enough because I've only seen it once, and I don't even think about it. I mean, I don't say it's not out there, but I'm like, whatever. It's a movie, and maybe if I watch it more and more, I can say, okay, maybe I get more annoyed with it, but I don't think it really affects what I like about the original trilogy or even the Force Awakens, Last Jedi, even.
Right. Yeah, the Clone Wars affects me with the original trilogy more than the new movies do. Because the character of Ahsoka Tano alone is the best character they ever created, and I loved her exit. And I think about that every time I'm into especially 1 through 5 or 1 through 6. I'm like, oh, that's still going on. I don't know. It's good. I love that part. But yeah, you're right. I don't filter the new ones through the old ones, I guess. And didn't Luke fall down one of them long shafts and curl up into a Cloud City?
Slid.
Yeah.
Right. But Cloud City also didn't explode.
Right.
So I don't know.
Well,
but Leia's already taught us that you can survive in outer space without a ship or something.
You're right.
You could do that.
Look,
so like, it's not that like Return of the Jedi changes, but like now that Rise of Skywalker's out, as much as I hate it, and I do this with the prequels and I do this with all of them, I like try to make the invisible connections that weren't actually there, right? Like, okay, so look, in episode 4 when Vader says this, but look, this is what he meant from like episode 3, even though it's all retconned and nonsense. But I like try to pull these together because I want so bad for it to be coherent and I want it to be this whole thing. So sometimes I do, like, I find myself sort of interpreting meanings, even though I'm like, I hate that this is what it would be, trying to make it one cohesive thing because I desperately want it to be.
Isn't that
I do a lot of the same. Well, I've sat there and go, okay, this whole 9 movie arc that they call it, the Skywalker Saga, and the way they made it end, it's the Palpatine Skywalker Saga because it's the good versus evil is how they make it out to be. That Palpatine's always been in the shadows, in the background, controlling everything since the beginning, all the way until we get to 9 now.
Because it's Star Wars and Harry Potter, right? The Lord of the Rings fans make fun of Star Wars and Harry Potter because we have to try really hard to make everything make sense. And they're like, well, Tolkien had it right the entire time.
Yeah.
Until you bring up the Eagles, and then they get really mad.
We had a comment saying,
you don't understand.
Comment from Brian saying the Emperor had a son called Triclops in the old Marvel comics. I never read any of the old Marvel comics.
Yeah, but they're not
Star Wars ones.
Triclops sounds like He-Man.
I know. And he put his top 3 of Empire Strikes Back, A New Hope, and then Phantom Menace.
Ew.
The trade embargoes.
That is.
I didn't hate it. I thought Darth Maul was a cool character, man.
I love the pod race.
Qui-Gon Jinn is one of my favorite Jedis outside of Ahsoka Tano. Qui-Gon Jinn is cool.
That's a fair point.
See, I like Sabine. Is probably one of my favorite characters from Rebels. I love Sabine.
Very cool.
The one thing is that with Darth Maul, and I'm not trying to be an ass here, but he's in it as much as the Wampa from Empire Strikes Back, and I love the Wampa from Empire Strikes Back just as much as Darth Maul.
Well, that's why they made this big character and they kill him so fast. Of course
now Boba Fett and Phasma and all of these. Like there's all of these, and they make these figures and toys and pump them up, and then it's like, you're.
How useless of a character was Phasma?
They realized Darth Maul was a cool character. That's why he is so much in the animated series now.
Yeah.
That they're like, oh, wait, we need to give people more Darth Maul. And let's throw him in solo so people can really be confused if they don't watch the animated series.
So when I was working from home, I had all this TBS or TNT, whichever one, had all the Star Wars movies on today. So that was in my background. Okay, so they had on the special edition where Han Solo goes and talks to Jabba the Hutt in A New Hope. Horrible scene. But here's the funny thing. So first off, he kills Greedo. They show the scene where they both shoot at the same time.
Self-defense.
Or he shot first. I don't even know. And so he kills Greedo and then goes to talk to Jabba the Hutt. Greedo, in the same attire, is in the background in that scene.
There's two of
Same
them.
exact. No.
Custodians dressed exactly the same.
No. So the whole time, and this is the first time in all the times I've watched this, I'm looking in the back, I'm like, what's that?
Her face was
Her
like
face was like
clearly wrong.
Maybe that's his twin brother, McClunky. That's why they put that in there. He's shouting out to his brother, so his brother knows.
Greedo would have like more of an Italian brother. Yes, Greedo, come on.
Another one. Brian made a comment. Ara Singh, who was in Phantom Menace. She's like this big bounty hunter they built up into this cool thing, and she got like this little scene in the pod race.
Didn't she get like a comic book, or she got something?
I think she was in a comic. She might have been in one of the animated series a little bit, but
who was
one of those characters? Like, oh look,
he was a bounty hunter.
Yeah,
is she the red one? All red?
She's all white with like I think a top knot, and then she's wearing like a red suit.
Huh. I don't know if I remember her or not.
She takes a pot shot at one of the pod racers during that scene, right?
I think I was too spellbound by the two-headed announcer. God, that was amazing.
Wow, little young Anakin coming around the corner here.
that was Greg Proops of Whose Line Is It Anyway fame.
I love Greg Proops. I love Whose Line Is It Anyways. I do not love Greg Proops in Star Wars.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that whole Tatooine scene made no sense. Like, they represent the Republic, who does not deal with slavers. Like, that's apprehensible. That's against the law. So I have no moral qualm to deal with you, slaver. I will take the two slaves, and I will take them by force if I have to. And I mean, he's cheating otherwise. Qui-Gon didn't cheat. He doesn't mind cheating. Doesn't mind everything. It's like, he would have just taken the two slaves. I don't need to get you money. And I'm going to give you what I'm going to give you, and that's cool. But I'm taking them, and he's gonna have his mom, because obviously that's what turns him dark. Like none of that made sense. The whole charade with the pod race, like, just
if you can, these are not your droids.
Well, and then let's zoom out a little bit and just say the entirety of episode 1 basically doesn't make any sense. So,
but trade embargoes.
Yeah.
I love trade embargoes. I could talk all day about it. Well, my issue is, if you took Anakin and his mom, what's Watto going to do? What's he going to do?
Yeah, nothing.
He's a fly. Just
Yeah.
I'm no.
Yeah,
Don't get me started on Phantom
Menace.
Menace.
That made sense. But we had to get that cool pod race in there.
I love the pod race. I mean,
stop it.
I was liking it when I saw it.
And when it came out, it was the first time we really saw like a really cool, like fast lightsaber fight too.
It was almost like when X-Men 2 came out and you finally saw Wolverine sink his claws into a person. You're like, I've been wanting to see this my whole life.
Yeah.
And
just like episode 2, when Yoda pulled his lightsaber out.
Oh yeah,
that's what you wanted.
Yeah, they were good at giving
watching it now. I'm like, this looks really corny, but when I saw that in the theater, that I was like,
well, yes. I was at Celebration 2 in Indianapolis, and they premiered that Yoda Dooku fight scene.
Nice.
Like just like on its own at Celebration 2. Yeah. And it was nuts. Oh, everybody lost their minds, and they're like, "Oh, you like that, huh? You want to watch it again?" And you know, like,
that's what they do.
Well, and I think that's one thing that the new ones didn't do is like those original ones, like that Grievous is a great character. Dooku is a great character. Qui-Gon, like they gave us some really good characters. They didn't do a lot with them, but I loved Dooku. I thought he was really, and the whole Separatist movement is a cool movement. And when the whole like Qui-Gon Jinn would have joined, I'm like, I think he would have. I think he would have been a Separatist, and that's cool, man. There's this movement of people who are like, we don't need the Empire. I mean, they were all duped by the Emperor and murdered, but they didn't know they were going to be duped and murdered.
So here's something I'm sure this is an original thought, but something I'm piecing together out of this conversation is we like the story of the prequels, but despise the execution.
Yeah.
Whereas we like the execution of the sequel trilogy, but despise the story.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
So George, so
overall, I
so
can
look
agree
at
with
it this way then. The arguably the best film of the Star Wars series is Empire Strikes Back, which was co-written by Lucas, but co-written by someone else and directed by.
And he didn't direct it either.
Yeah.
He wrote and directed all of the films in the prequel trilogy, and we all like the story, but by God, the direction just makes us want to put our heads through a wall. Whereas we have all of these like really visionary people taking on Star Wars concepts and ideas and putting their own visual signature on them, but also their own stories, which aren't really like resonating the same way with the context of a larger Star Wars story, like Lucas's does. Lucas should have, frankly, Lucas should have helped develop the story for 7, 8, and 9, regardless of having given up control. Yeah. He should have had. I think so. He should have been able to tell his story from start to finish, give other directors the reins to tell the visual part of it, and I think we would have ended up with a much more significant and viable.
I like that a lot.
Brilliant way to cap out how this whole story was told.
Some people are just good storytellers. Like I wouldn't. I'm sure I'll get crucified for this, but is it Stephanie Meyers that who wrote Twilight? Mm-hmm. I think she's a good storyteller. She's a horrible writer. Like the writing. He's out.
Jason's like,
if you read the books, you're like, the story is actually really clever and good. It's just that she's a bad writer. Like every time they touch, it's electrifying. Every time. But
molten in her eyes.
Yes.
Can she build Legos?
Can she build Legos?
Probably as good as they can on that show.
She is about to release Midnight Sun.
What is that? Is that
from
Renesmee?
Edward's perspective? I just read that today.
Ooh.
I didn't read it today. I read that she's publishing it.
We're getting a new novel in the Twilight series before we're getting the next
Game of
Thrones. So 2020 is just
getting
a huge dumpster fire.
Closer and closer to the darkest timeline.
Yeah, no, this is
2020. Gotta love it.
We're getting there.
Did you see? Because I'm trying to get away from Stephanie Meyer as much as possible here. Sorry, Justin. Did you see
I know
that
I'm alone in that.
Yeah.
Yes, you are. Did you see that they said no longer are the Sith one by one? No more of that. There's only two. They retconned that out. Yeah. They basically said, that doesn't happen anymore.
And they ignored that in the Clone Wars
Skyline or storyline. They took the Kate Skywalker storyline from the Legacy series, and they're like, "Nah, we're gonna do that. That's fine."
And you know what though? I'm more interested. I think with Rise of Skywalker, it was all over the place. But my other issue is that I was bored with the Skywalkers at this point. I want them to do new characters. That's why I love Mandalorian. Mandalorian's fantastic. It's a great old spaghetti Western. Yeah. And you know what? Make anything else. I don't need to see the Skywalker and their inbred family anymore. Give me something else and go somewhere else and let me see what else is going on out there.
I think that's what we loved about Rogue One too. It was a familiar story and it was nostalgic of like, oh, we're in this time, but it's not tied to it has to be a Jedi, it has to be a Skywalker, or it has to go this way.
And I love like Chirrut Imwe's use of the Force. Like it was not Jedi, but it was so very different, but still so very powerful. Like that was.
I think in Clone Wars, at one point there are 6 Sith currently alive and active, and I remember thinking, well, this isn't their rule, but I don't know what they do. We counted them one time; they're all together.
But only the Sith deal in absolutes.
I know, right?
I like sand.
They're the only ones who deal in absolutes, but this is not the Jedi way. Absolutely.
I like sand.
No, that's what was good about the Clone Wars, is that shows you that the Jedi are blind because they became an army and they became a republic. Like if they had just stayed more rogue, wandering monkish, they wouldn't have been so blind to Palpatine. But if and buts were candy and nuts.
Doug, even though we have some anger issues with him right now, he did say that Kit Fisto was one of his favorite Jedi. I love Kit Fisto.
Yeah.
I love Kit Fisto.
I didn't enjoy Kit Fisto.
Mine was Plo Koon. He was
Ah.
my favorite. He had an orange lightsaber, which is cool.
Who was the guy with the big cone head on the council? Can we
Oh,
get
right.
him?
Kiadi Mundi, yeah.
Yeah, get him out of there.
Sorry.
That guy didn't even talk. Didn't he just kind of nod?
Episodes. I think he gets a couple episodes in the Clone Wars.
I
think those three do.
Did they say which what Disney Plus series did they say was it the Rogue One guy?
Cassian Andor.
Shoot. Yeah, is his going to be the Ocean's 11 type thing, or with the who was it? They said they were trying to make an Ocean's because they said Bosk might show up, and I love Bosk.
Oh,
bring him on.
Like a heist thing.
He was cool.
Yeah,
before Rogue One.
Because we were watching Empire with my kids this weekend, and when they show the bounty hunters, that is awesome. Bosk, Forlom, IG, all of those guys. I'm like, why didn't you do more with them?
They're so cool.
Yeah, awesome characters that just disappear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's another rule breaking is the Mandalorians, because if you're watching Rebels, you're like, well, they took their helmets off like all the time. Like literally, your helmet was just for war, and that was it.
Mandalorian?
What's that?
I mean, I know Sabine has Mandalorian.
No, but they go to the planet and they spend like several, a whole season almost there hanging out with Mandalorians, and they're like, "Hey, how's it going? How's it going?" So my theory was, this is how I pieced it together. I'm like, oh, it's probably a new carnation of the religion.
They're the Westwood Baptists of the Mandalorians.
Yes. Yeah, the Fred Phelps of the
Well, maybe that's where they went after Mandalore fell. So now the Empire took over. So they're like, we gotta stay hidden.
We gotta be hardcore about this.
Yeah. Loved the Onyx lightsaber coming back, which was cool.
The dark saber.
Yeah.
The dark saber, yes.
I like when we first watched that, I was like, oh, is that a dark saber? And you were like, wait, what? And I was like, I think it's a dark saber. Like,
yeah, they mentioned
I watched that episode.
Rogue One, right?
When she's beautiful.
When she's flipping through all the things in Rogue One to try to find the thing in the Tower of Information.
She also mentioned hyperspace track.
No, she said black saber, not dark saber.
We just watched
in the Clone Wars, they call it the Onyx lightsaber. So
interesting.
Maybe it has a bunch of names.
Yeah, I'm sure it does.
Yeah. When
when the dark saber came out, I like freaked out. My wife was like, "What?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, you got to go watch Rebels. It'll tell you everything." And she's like, yeah.
My oldest son was freaking out too. Like we watched Mandalorian together, and he got to that. He's like, "Oh my god, it's a dark saber." I was like, "I know." I mean, because it's little things like that, like the general audience may not get, but if you're a devoted fan, you're like, "Oh my god, that's awesome that they put that in." Good for them.
And that's what the Mandalorian I think has done great, is that they put a lot of that nostalgic fan service and little things that fans get, but then make that story overarching for everybody.
Yeah. Well, they didn't call attention to any of it, right?
Exactly.
Like, just part of the story.
The Sand People sign language bit
was awesome. So clever.
Brilliant. Because like frankly, Lucas wrote them like pretty like from a very racist lens. Like he wanted them to look like nomadic people. Like he said that, and to be very like ruthless savage. Like that was his intent. And so for them to like just make it, for one, like I loved that sign language was incorporated, because that's not incorporated in a lot of things anyway, but just this very like matter of fact, like, and again, it was just like part of it, like, oh yeah, here we can communicate this and be on our way. Like,
well, that's great world building, right? Whereas like the Mandalorian didn't use fan service as a way to be like, hey guys, we get it, you know, haha, we're
I've got a bad feeling about this.
Yeah, like it's not, there was never any like wink wink nudge nudge to it, really. Like it was all in service of building the world out, right? Whereas like there was a lot that happened in the sequel trilogy, in 7 and 9 specifically, that was, hey, we're a Star Wars, you know, like real over, like hitting you over the head with the fact that they were calling back to something or trying to tie something together. And it wasn't in service of building the world out. It was in service of trying to like hammer out
borderline breaking the fourth wall because
it was like in service of trying to hammer out like a cohesive story from a story that wasn't cohesive, right? So I don't know. That's where I think the big difference was.
I do have to say though, as much as I made fun of that line, my main complaint with Last Jedi is that nobody says I've got a bad feeling about this.
That was I have to imagine that.
Of course
They
it
don't
was.
say it?
The only one of the Skywalker movies of all 9 where nobody
Really?
says it. Mhm.
I thought someone said it.
I thought someone said it in like I thought like Poe or someone said at the beginning.
Nope.
In Last Jedi, oh, didn't like R2D2 say it or something?
He bleeped it.
Sorry.
Oh yeah, BB-8 bleeped it in The Last Jedi. They came out. That's what he bleeps when
There's an easy fix for you. Oh yeah, the droid you can't understand.
Yep.
He said it all.
Sid made it. Sid made it.
You don't know
Ashley had
BB-8?
that one.
Come on.
Anyway,
No, we caught Mandalorian. We didn't start watching until I think the 3rd or 4th episode had been made. And so I went into it going, I am not gonna like this Baby Yoda. But like episode 2, I was like, I love this Baby Yoda. I really did not want to like it, and I was like, it's cool.
And those sons of bitches, those scout troopers that freaking kept pummeling him. I was like, stop it! Stop it!
You
Stop
watch
it!
that episode, you're like, oh no, he didn't.
I know.
Now, do you think if he had been 100% CGI that we would not like him as much? My theory is that because he's a puppet, he seems more real.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's the difference between.
Wait, I just look $5 million puppet.
Yeah,
or
it's
some
like the difference
nonsense,
between like animated Yoda versus like puppet Yoda. Like you can see the difference and the lack of.
Oh yeah.
I think that's why the new movies, the sequel trilogy, is better than the prequels. Another reason, it looks more realistic.
Yeah.
You go back, it is a freaking cartoon. It looks like a computer game, the prequel.
Yeah.
And
that's why I think I hate them.
Guys developed the fact that they still used so many actual like physical puppets and stuff because they knew that
well, and like that's going back to what I was saying earlier, whereas like if we had the story that George Lucas wanted to tell equally matched by the level of detail and the love and care for the world of Star Wars that we saw in the sequel trilogy as far as like visuals go, right, and world building went, then it would have been like a totally different experience, I think.
The boys are experiencing now, we watch older movies that they're like, why is that one still good? And it's practical effects at least still last. So we watched Speed,
absolutely.
And they like Keanu Reeves because of John Wick and everything, but we were watching Speed and I was like, oh, I forgot that they actually really jumped a bus and filmed it. And so it doesn't, I mean, it's weird, but it doesn't look fake. Whereas then we watched Independence Day and I was like, oh, I forgot. Like when I saw this, it looked like the White House really blew up, but you can tell it's models and the CGI is really bad and they can tell. And so they check out. But I was trying to think, we watched another one the other day that had all practical effects and they were like.
We just watched Honey, I Shrunk the Kids with
the
boys.
That one. That was it.
Yeah. And they built all these sets with like massive stuff to make them look tiny. And I'm like, it still holds up.
No,
go ahead, Jason.
They're doing that with Jungle Cruise with The Rock.
Oh.
They built the whole set. And I guess it was Disney's biggest set they've ever made for a movie.
Wow.
And they made it all look realistic because they didn't want to do a lot of that. Now I'm sure the animals are CGI and all that stuff, but the whole background, they said they built the biggest set, and The Rock had on his Instagram months ago like an aerial view, and it's impressive. I mean, it is huge.
That's cool. Yeah. That movie is interesting because I love The Rock, so I was like, I'll see it. But I was like, where did this movie come from? Like, that's an odd one to make. But
well, the technology they use for the Mandalorian though is pretty impressive. I mean, they doing the practical like puppetry and stuff like that, but they created like this giant screen that they put everything on.
Did you watch that thing that came out today?
I haven't started watching it yet, but.
They made like basically like a 4K or 8K digital matte painting screen.
Yeah.
For background plates, right?
They can put them pretty much anywhere they want.
Yeah.
And it looks like they're there.
So I know that they have all the Baby Yoda toys out. Do they have Mandalorian toys out? Like the 3 3/4? I don't think I've seen any.
I have like the Mandalorian, not 3 3/4, but I have the Mandalorian there's like a little Lego set that has like four little jet
Yeah.
and stuff. And then the Razor Crest Lego set is coming out, I think, in September. So there's stuff that's starting to pop up. So I would imagine
there are no 3 3/4 yet. Just a lot of pops, Funko Pops.
Yeah.
I know, like the Baby Yoda, the Hasbro figure. I think it comes out in August. Maybe it's only like an inch and a half or something like that. That's what it's gonna be.
Because since quarantine started, my 4-year-old, almost 4-year-old, he's been obsessed with Star Wars. And so I've been playing tons of Star Wars. I got my old figures, my oldest son's figures, all of those guys out there. But it's like, there's no good bases that they've put out, toy bases, like major ones. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, that's what I want. I keep looking and I'm like, and kills me because I had the Ewok Village growing up and I sold it. And I'm like, damn it. But you don't see any. I know, but you don't see anything like that.
Now.
Yeah.
And the actual 3 3/4 set.
Yeah, it's all the Lego sets or pops is what everybody gets now.
Oh,
I mean, they had a BB-8.
Pops, like those are.
How do you play with the Legos? They keep falling apart. Glue them. No, because they had a BB-8 base come out, like it expanded, and it was who's the Snooky, the Snook, his throne room. That's what it basically was.
Snooky is Jersey Shore, dude.
I know. I can't stand the name Snook. I can't stand the name Snook, so I always call it Snooky.
Snoke.
No,
whatever.
Snook.
Whatever. Snooky.
Clone Palpatine. Just call him Clone Palpatine.
I want someone to Photoshop Snooky on that throne.
Little Kylo Ren. I did it all for the Snooky.
Star Wars has come out with a Jersey Shore base. That would be awesome. Let's do that.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was looking for bases, and like my youngest is now wants the Rancor monster and Jabba the Hutt. And I had the Rancor monster growing up, but his arms broke, like the rubber band broke inside the toy. But you can't find it anywhere, and it's like they're missing out on so much right now. And it's all the Black Series, which is the more expensive one.
Yeah,
and
it's
I'm
all
like
for collectors now.
Yeah,
and I'm like, my kids love Star Wars toys, and I know they're not the only ones out there that play with them. It's like, can we get something out there? I'll buy them all day long.
Yeah,
I will say
my kids play with the Galactic Heroes because that's all.
Those are awesome.
On.
Yep.
I used to have my GI Joes fight the Rancor because I had the Rancor with the mouth, and so. But I loved the GI Joe more than Star Wars toys, so it was like I love that Rancor, and they would fight that with like. They'd end up on some world where a Rancor came to.
I loved G.I. Joe growing up too, Justin. That was my go-to toy.
Best. I don't think there's been a better toy with better accessories ever.
But they won't release a new series or anything like a kids series because of the guns.
Yeah. Do you remember? Yeah, because they had like swords and ninja stars and grenades and like football shaped like grenades. They could Iron would throw.
Walter Payton.
Yeah.
The fridge. That's who it was. The fridge. My bad.
Slightly racist. They had like Spirit who could track with his eagle.
Yeah, that's the Native American.
Snooki would be on the Nabooian Shower starring Amidala.
Ooh.
Instead of the Jersey Shore.
Did you have the G.I. Joe aircraft carrier?
I did not. I had the Terradrome.
The circle with the red thing that came out the top?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had that too. So good.
And I sold it for $50 at a garage sale. Pissed when I was a kid.
See, I got it because my dad got it at a garage sale for me.
Do you have mine?
It was in Virginia. There. My dad brought it home one day, and I was like, "This is all," because it had all the doors in the side.
Yep.
Oh man, it's such a good toy. G.I. Joe.
See, awesome. Star Wars, do it, Star Wars, and they don't, and that's what irks me. I would buy a Star Wars base right now, right away.
Because I didn't like the Star Wars toys as much because their arms didn't bend, and the G.I. Joes could fight. Star Wars had to be like, and then the lightsaber that would pop out of their hands.
You kind of look like Tom Cruise running there.
Every now and then, my
Let me-
G.I. Joes would go to like an Amazonian world, and I would play with my sister's Barbies, and they'd be like, "Who are these giant women?"
Let me ask you this, Justin. Do you think you could have built a better G.I. Joe or a better Star Wars figure?
Oh,
Okay, I'm just asking.
Star Wars figure? Maybe.
Yes. Okay.
I just would have made them look exactly like G.I. Joes, except now they're Star Wars characters. G.I. Joe was the best toy ever.
Some of the,
It was.
Luke Han
It was
downstairs.
a good toy.
Bigger than G.I. Joe.
There was one year I decided to unscrew all their backs, take them all apart, and make all new ones, and I did it, and it was the worst thing I ever did. Because after that, they were all loose, and I could never get them back to where I ruined. I was so mad. I ruined so many of them. I made like creations, and it just didn't work. Anyways.
Thanks, Justin. I appreciated it.
And all those were made in Cincinnati, Hasbro.
Yes, they were. Yes, they were. Did you guys watch? Was it the toys? What was that? The toys you grew up with, or whatever on Netflix? Toys That Made Us. Yeah. That was a really good series. The Star Wars one, even the Star Wars one, you found out some new stuff that I never even knew about.
Yeah. No, that was a really good show.
So besides, I'm gonna jump into another. Besides Jar Jar, what are some characters throughout? And we'll throw the other two movies in there too, Solo and Rogue One. Out of all 11 Star Wars films, what are some of the worst characters that you've seen come out aside from Jar Jar?
I mean, any of the Gungans. Let's just.
Oh, come on! I love Captain Tarpals.
Oz.
Yes.
Boss
Captain Tarpals.
Not again. Terrible. Watu sucked.
Watu.
Whatever. He was
Get
terrible.
the nose. Young Anakin was horrible.
Are you an angel?
I'm an angel.
Jason, I think that's your best impression you've ever done.
Master, what are metachlorines?
Person.
What are metachlorines?
My name is Anakin.
I'm a person. That's right. Oh,
No,
Brad, have you ever heard?
Right?
Brad, have you ever heard my Michael Caine? Spot on.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
On. No, I can't right now. Maybe later.
I've heard it a few
Michael
times.
Caine.
Yes.
Yeah, I think young Anakin might be the worst. He is a whiny little brat.
Yeah.
But I mean, to be fair, Anakin, including to the point that he becomes Vader, he's always whiny. Like,
yeah.
And I love
being
Hayden
whiny.
Christensen in other movies. He
Mm-hmm.
can play good roles. He just
See, and that's a situation where, as much as I hate the prequels, that's one of those things where I took that and was like, okay, let's look at how Vader is now. Okay, no, I can see this like petulant behavior here. Okay, I'll make this fit. I can make this fit, and I can make this like seamless, but it doesn't make it less annoying.
Well, Clone Wars lets me believe that he would turn. The movies, I'm like, wait a minute, you were fine, and now you're killing children, like in a second, like a minute, like you're killing children now. Like that didn't make any sense.
Then he's choking Amidala and fighting Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
To his credit, they were pretty whiny children.
Can we just talk about the fact?
Know-it-alls, you know.
Maybe one of the things that annoys me with, and I don't know if this is character, no, this is probably Lucas, like the lack of just like obstetrical knowledge. Like with all your advancements, y'all didn't know that she had twins, and you didn't know that this is how this works. Like clearly Lucas didn't go have good sex ed because he didn't know how any of this worked.
Look, this was way back in the early 2000s.
It was a long time ago.
Until like a couple of years ago. Like,
but sure, she's dying from a broken heart. And then they're like, we have to quickly get the babies out, which would indicate C-section, right? But then they're like, you need to push. And I'm like,
maybe the broken heart.
Woomba. I'm like, why does our droid keep saying womb?
And look, and here's
those are giant ass babies for her tiny little pregnant belly.
Look, we don't know a damn thing about Alderanian physiology.
Babies quickly expand once they're
Nabooan physiology or any.
That's
Like,
fair.
we don't know. This is a galaxy.
Maybe like
far,
the
far
Naboo
away.
religion, they're real anti-C-section.
No, these are aliens, guys. Like, we don't know. We don't know.
As soon as they come out, they expand in the air.
They're like sponges.
There you go. There you go.
Okay.
You-
Okay.
And then she's,
You know, I never.
she's like, Luke,
They didn't.
Leia.
They didn't make a Jabba's palace playset, but they did make a delivery playset with the giant robot in it, so
Did they
that was
really?
good.
They did.
No, I'm just kidding.
I was like, Roomba. I really want that womb robot with the fluffy hands.
Yeah, it was actually a game like Operation.
The hands was really like the
Broken heart.
going to the gynecologist's hands, like the, like the scoops and the stirrups on the robes. I was like, oh.
And then you hide Luke, and he's still a Skywalker. People knew who Anakin Skywalker
Yeah,
was.
didn't
They're not
hide
gonna
him
put
that
two
well.
and two together.
Skywalker.
What's
I've
the-
never heard of him.
What's
Obi-Wan.
the,
I'm just gonna change my name to Ben. He'll never know.
What's the meme on
Oh, Ben,
Facebook?
that one?
Leia, she'll go to a planet and be loved and be a princess. Luke, he will be a farmer and
Right.
tolerate it.
With like did you think, is Uncle Owen abusive, or is that just that character played him really gruff?
I think he's just a
I think
gruff.
he's
Just a gruff desert guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were stuck working on a moisture evaporation farm, I feel like you'd be a little surly too.
I don't think-
And suddenly be given a baby when you're like, hey, look, I just got married to my wife. Let's have our, my wife. But like, we get to start our lives together. But nope, now suddenly we have a baby to deal with that we weren't expecting and planning on. And now we're not getting sleep.
Hey, are we still talking about like characters we don't
We're
like?
talking about quarantine.
Oh,
You know what? I'm going to go out here
I don't
and
know
say
where we're at now.
C-3PO is not a fan of either.
Oh, I agree. I've never cared for him. Never thought he was fun.
We've been, like I said, we've been watching a lot of Star Wars lately, and even my daughter is like, he talks way too much, and I was like, yeah, I know he does. Yeah, he does.
I think all of Anakin's friends from the pod racing, pre-pod racing.
Ugh.
I wish they all would have gotten like burnt up in pod racing engines. They were just terrible.
The comment we just got: Skywalker. Let's put him on the planet where his dad was the first human to win a big race as a kid. You related?
Nope.
No.
Best Star Wars joke ever was Robot Chicken. It's like a 5-second scene of Luke going, I want to go to Tashi Station and pick up some power converters. And you see him at a bar and girls dancing. It's like, Tashi Station brings you the power converters. I was like, and then it's gone. It's like one of those ones that's there and gone. I was like, that was hilarious. I didn't have time to laugh at it, but that was the best.
Somebody else brought up my brother-in-law, her brother brought up the Robot Chicken Star Wars thing. And I still to this day, if I really want to just like throw somebody off when I pick up the phone, I answer, go for Papa Palpatine. And like every single time they're like, what did you say?
It's true.
Yeah.
I was watching Empire, and the Robot Chicken that always makes me laugh is every time I watch Empire now, I keep waiting for Darth Vader to say, pray don't change it again. And every single time, because in Robot Chicken, he keeps changing the plan. I want a unicycle. What? Pray don't say play. Change it again.
That's great.
I think C-3PO might be my most annoying character. To go back to that, Brad, I'm helping you. I'm trying to go back to your topic here.
I'm thinking of some.
Saw Gerrera kind of annoys me.
He was played really odd.
In Rogue One, but like
Rogue One,
his characterization in the Rebel series is different.
Yeah, I don't know about the Rebel series, but I was thinking because we watched Rogue One today.
Was he in Clone Wars?
Which one are you talking about? I'm sorry.
He was in Rebels. I think.
Rebels.
Yeah.
Rebels.
So, like, at least in Rogue One, because I haven't seen him in there. Like, I like the idea of the character, right? And I feel like he should be real cool, but it's very like, I don't know, for some.
He comes off as like a lunatic.
Well, and he played him.
Sure, he kind of is, but there, I don't know. It just seems like so off. I don't know. I can't put my finger on what it is, but I'm just like,
I agree.
This seems weird, and I can't. it like doesn't fit, and I'm not sure what about it doesn't fit, but every time I watch it, I'm like, that's the one thing with like Rogue One that I'm
lies, deception.
That's great. That's a great one.
Really good.
Well, and that whole scene where they attach that creature to the dude, I'm like, this seems off. I think he was telling the truth the whole time. Like, this doesn't make any sense.
Yell it every now and then if I don't believe something my children are saying. Mogul it.
Can we say Dengar was a waste of a character? He was annoying. He had toilet paper around his head.
Dengar.
Yeah,
Dengar, the bounty hunter. He just had a toilet paper around his head.
I don't really think he was annoying. He didn't even have any lines.
No, he's annoying. Toilet paper.
He rescues Boba Fett out of the Sarlacc pit in the books.
That's not canon anymore.
Yeah, it's not. No, it is canon. These are canon ones. Like, I don't know. They were written. Yeah, they were after.
They did a new one.
Thing. Yeah, they're new.
Well, because they did one. It was after the Thrawn trilogy called the Mandalorian Armor.
Right.
That Dengar saved him from the pit.
It's the comic books. Since Marvel bought the comic books, it was in one of those releases. No, you know what? Who I would have liked if they actually would have done something with their character, but because they did nothing, I thought Rose was a waste of a character.
Yeah.
They wasted her character.
Yeah, wasted her character, right?
Because I wanted to see more of her. Maz Kanata, I wanted to see more of.
Oh yeah, she was cool.
They set her up in the first one, and then she's just kind of like, oh, okay.
Yep, both of them, I feel like got the shaft, and
I'm hoping that like there's some comics or novels that kind of flesh them out. Like, I want to know some more of Maz because she's 900 years old.
Right.
She's got a lot of stories.
And in Last Jedi, when she's fighting and telling them to go get the not the smuggler, the other guy.
Doing there? Yeah.
I know.
So Rise of Skywalker, whatever the pseudo love interest for Finn and Poe, because God forbid you put them together. Whatever the two chicks, whatever her name, what's the one curly hair girl's name?
Jana?
No, Jana is Jana's one. I don't know, the one with the helmet, whatever.
Carrie Russell.
The one that Carrie Russell played?
Oh, the one that looks like a Power Ranger.
Power Ranger, right? Power Ranger and Jana, like basically Power Ranger and Lando's daughter, because it's Lando's daughter. They just didn't have time to put that in the movie.
You don't know that.
Yeah, he said it. We know.
It comes off creepy though. It comes off very creepy at the end.
Both of them.
Yeah, but like everything that Lando says has a tinge of creepiness too.
True.
Yeah, Lando is one of those guys that, like, you know, years in the future, all the allegations will come out because he was just
did not get hit by the Me Too movement.
And and everyone's like, yeah, no, he was
RTD2 movement since robots.
How about this? But both of those girls, I feel like were thrown in because we're like, oh no, there's too much chemistry between these two guys. We got to give them each somebody to talk to.
No.
But I feel like they didn't do anything.
Yeah, the Power Ranger was useless.
Power Ranger was useless. And the other thing, I mean, the whole thing about it being like the stormtroopers suddenly like, cool, whatever. But I feel like, again, it's one of those things where it's like not their fault. It's not that their characters themselves were annoying. It was just, you were a useless character
as they were written and conceived.
As they were written and conceived, that could have not existed and it'd be totally fine. And frankly, could have been better because you could have done something else.
Well, they should have like given more backstory of them instead of. I told my wife today, I was like, well, instead of calling it the sequel trilogy, this is the trilogy we're going to kill off the original cast. Because you kill off Han in the first one, you Luke in the second one, the third one, we lost Carrie Fisher, unfortunately. So they kind of had to write
prequel
that.
Trilogy.
But yeah.
But you know what? And they needed to do that. The problem was, like you said, though, they picked every episode, they did a different one. Yeah. And it was like, okay, whatever. They needed to get away from that.
Yeah.
And not to go into a whole bigger issue here with comic books, it was the same thing. I have a problem with that with comic books is that they're so afraid to kill characters off that it's the same stories over and over again. I love Batman, But when Bruce Wayne's not Batman, I love those stories. I love when Jean-Paul Arvali was taken over, when, Dick Grayson took over for a while, because it's different. And that's what they needed with Star Wars, is they needed to move past that original trilogy group. And you could still have them in it, but you needed to move past it. And that was my issue with a lot of it.
Minor and really
yes.
They tried to focus on these new three, but they were tied too much to the original cast.
Well, I heard someone explain Mandalorian that way. Like Mandalorian, like with Star Wars movies, the fan criticism matters, and they're trying so hard to make something new and cool and also appease the fans. Whereas Mandalorian, no one knew anything about it. They had already made it, and I hope people like it. We'll see. And they produced a piece of art that, hey, you won. We all really liked it. That's cool. Whereas the movies, we know they're coming out. We're excited. People and there's an expectation you have to live up to. You're not just making a piece that's just fun. Although, that's why Rogue One and Solo, I think, were so good, because, hey, we'll make this. We'll see if people like it. I don't know. But
Solo was a fun movie after the first 20-25 minutes.
Yeah.
Glover, I thought. Once they started doing, and Glover was awesome as Lando.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's
Lando. I went in, and the only reason I saw that opening night was, and that was the only Star Wars movie I wasn't going to see opening night of the last, new ones. And then my son really wanted to go, and we did. And I was like, I really enjoyed that. I had the lowest expectations.
Yeah.
And we watched Solo 2 weeks ago, and I really liked it again. I really liked it the second time even.
Fun.
I've liked it more every time I've watched it, I think. It's hard with something like that. I wish they would, and this is kind of that whole thing about needing to get past those original characters. I don't think they shouldn't have done that movie, because Harrison Ford is Han Solo, right? It's so hard to get past that. But that's why Rogue One is so good, right? Because you don't have to deal with that trying to suspend the disbelief of who this person is.
Well, I don't mind killing characters either. I wish they killed them.
Yeah,
I agree.
Solo, it's fun. There's a lot of nonsense.
Fun, but we didn't need to see the Kessel Run, and we didn't need to see how he got the Falcon.
But we needed to see the dice, because no one gave a crap about the dice in Last Jedi. So we have to go back and retcon that and put that in everything that he does.
What movie I want an Enfys Nest movie is what I want.
Yeah.
I'll take
that. Enfys Nest was a badass. And I don't care if it's her mom or her or whatever, but Enfys Nest is a cool
Dude,
one.
there was one book that they wrote that happened between episode 5 and episode 6. I forgot what it's called. It was one of the older original ones. It's really good. But it's about Leia, and it's Han is still in Carbonite, so it's Leia and Lando, and they have to go into Black Sun. Shadows of the Empire, yeah. And there's a character who leads Black Sun, who's his main thing is he has pheromones that leak off of him, and women lose their shit around him.
Prince Zizor.
Yes, and that character there was a toy of him. That character was awesome, and Leia was just wanted to fuck him, man. It was crazy. It was so good.
So
I liked it.
So this whole portion of the conversation leads me to something that how long are we talking, Brad? Just out of curiosity.
As long as we need to talk.
Okay, so there's
no time limit.
This whole portion of the conversation brings me to something that I've been kind of bouncing around a little bit, because I found myself getting more and more exhausted by it and more aggravated by it. So you have the sequel trilogy, 7, 8, and 9, right? And then you have all this new ancillary stuff going on, books and comic books and TV shows, and all of this stuff that you have to read in order to fill in the gaps, to answer the questions that the movies should have answered, and so on and so forth. And then they've got to do all of this stuff where they're firing off tweets after the end of the freaking 9 movie series that they had to answer all of these questions, to clarify something or bring up another point. Does that aggravate anyone else other than myself?
Because the old EU was just EU,
right? The old EU, what it was, and it was filling in its own gaps, and it was sort of this Ouroboros sort of thing. Whereas we're in this thing now where it's it can't just be the movies, and it can't just be the TV show, and it can't just be the cartoon, and it can't just be the comic book. It's all connected, and I'm fine with that. I'm fine with the MCU model to a certain extent, but there's no way in hell I'm going to have the time or the energy or the finances to complete the story for myself.
Right.
I agree. I tried like when the new comics started coming out, I was like, okay, I'm gonna get them all. I'm gonna read all this, read this and this. And it was just
it's too much.
It's too much.
It was you spend like $80 a month on it.
Yeah.
At a minimum.
I'd like it like to add some extra pieces to it, or if there's little, Easter eggs that you could get out of it and stuff like that. Maybe a little bit of an extra story, not
extended.
Oh, well, if you read this comic, you would have known the story for the movie that you went to see. I'm like, well, I don't want to. Like,
yeah.
That's what when my kids with the Mission Impossible films, they're like, I'm like, well, you don't need any story with them. You can do like they're all their own thing, and they're like, well, no, because they can only think in sense of Marvel now. Like, what all has to fit together. I'm like, good. Who knows, man? I don't.
It's like, speaking of waste of characters, the Knights of Ren in episode 9. Completely wasted character. Huge. And I had to read the new visual dictionary. I had to read about them so I could know more about the characters, because
I really wanted to know more about them. I
think the Kylo Ren books have more information about them.
Yeah.
Like the Kylo Ren comics, but like again, in order to get the backstory to these characters that are introduced in one film, not talked about at all in the second film, and then introduced only to be killed off by their leader in the third film.
They just look like a boy band in the third film.
Right.
Yeah. The like swooping
yeah.
drone shot of them up on the thing. The Backstreet Boys.
Just so Ben Solo could get his saber and go.
Well, that's what I always thought about Grievous.
I love the shrug. That was fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, I love that scene. I love where they transfer
there's another waste of a character. Ben Solo. I wanted more Ben Solo.
I loved my Rey and Ben relationship. I loved it. It was
the only way that would have made sense is if there's only one way that would have made sense. He would have had to have renounced his Kylo Ren-ness at the very beginning of episode 9.
Yep.
And and become or gone back to being Ben Solo and only Ben Solo for the entirety of that film, for that to have an emotional payoff. You can't go 90% of a film and then be like, and then literally shrug and then be like, it's all good now. No, you're an asshole.
But here's the problem with that is it would have worked. It would have worked if the whole new trilogy had a bad guy that they kept alive. I had no problem. I thought them killing Snooki off was awesome. But if you would have made Snooki the villain over the whole thing, like you thought he was in The Force Awakens, then you could say, okay, he becomes Kylo Ren, renounces himself. He becomes Ben Solo, and 9 could be him and Rey's journey to connect again and then go off and fight him. But the problem is like, we have to connect to beat up Palpatine, who just showed up 2 hours ago. Right. And I'm like, I don't give a shit. I don't care.
That was my problem. Like I lost all emotional investment in it because like it's either you go all in or like one way or the other. And it's like, you cannot both shit and get off the pot at the same time. Like it just doesn't work.
I've drank a lot and tried, but
before the movie came out, like even after Force Awakens, we had major debates about what was going to happen.
Like
and
almost marriage ending debates.
Yeah. And I was like, Ben Solo is going to be redeemed and Rey and Ben are going to be a thing. And this is what's going to happen. And you were like, no, it's not. He's going to die. Rey is going to kill him. And we like argued about this stuff. And everything that each of us said would happen happened. Like how that happened. We almost like, marriage ending debates about this. And it all happened in the same movie.
And like, after The Last Jedi, you didn't think that was even a chance. You're like, okay, he's completely gone on to the dark.
Well,
and I would have
even at that point, I said, I was like,
no.
Because you were like, she shut the Force connection, it's gone. I was like,
I would have.
No, it's not. I've read too much fanfic.
I would have preferred that though. Like that's let him go all the way. Like just like like pick a path, stick to it. That would have been more emotionally resonant with me as if like you really had to do like because basically they were trying to crib like the Jason and Jaina storyline from the New Jedi Order and everything that followed that, right?
As well
and
as
then they the Darth
Revis and Bastila Shan.
Right. So like they were trying to take like
the
two in it, and it just guys.
They were trying to take all this stuff that's not canon now, and we're like, oh, I like it. Let's bring it back.
Jaina killed Jason. Right. They were a dyad, and then the Bastila Revan thing was a turning each other thing.
Right.
And Bastila has the double yellow saber staff, and that's why I was like, this is totally what they're doing over here. And you're like, no, but they're doing this over here. And then they were
did
like,
everything.
Zoop, Jason, Jaina, Bastila Revan with some Tumblr fanfic thrown in. Yep. That's what it was.
Probably throw a little Mara Jade in there.
Yeah.
I would have at the end of the episode 8, if Rey would have said, yeah, I'll join you and we'll be evil like tyrants of the universe, I would have been all in. I thought them being together is okay, now we have this ship, let's do it. That would have been super cool.
The thing is though, you couldn't turn the whole time. I kept thinking Force Awakens, okay, fine. The character of Rey became a monster upon itself in the whole real world. You can't change her because people have been craving for a female Jedi.
Right.
That is mainstream from the movies. So even my daughter can't get enough of Rey. I love Rey. I love the character. But to watch my daughter love that character, and then you can't turn that. You would have had a huge backlash. And so when 9 came out, I was like, there's no way, they could tease it all day long. They're not going to do it. If they did, I would have been fine with it. But the thing is, though, you never built Finn up as another Jedi that could stop them. You never built up anyone else. So, yeah, in theory, it would have been great seeing Rey and Kylo Ren joining forces, either to be all good to take on Snooki, or to become all bad and have Finn learn his powers and take him down. But the problem is they never did any of that in the other films. They never built it up.
Jedi. That was fair. We both were like, we really wanted it to be Grey Jedi, I think.
Yeah, I thought that was going to be something like Ahsoka Tano, right? Like
right.
No
and
sides.
I feel like JJ just like whipped out on it.
Well, and then if they were going to pick anything from the Jason Jaina storyline, like they really could have picked. There was one book in particular within the New Jedi Order that focused solely on Jason Solo when he was captured by the Yuuzhan Vong, and then there was like a former Jedi master that had been captured by them.
Yeah.
And then she went through and like basically tore down every single thing he thought he understood about the Force and being a Jedi, and like completely realigned his like train of thought. And that would have been an amazing way to go about it too.
Well, I thought they were going to go with, because the way 8 ended with the kid, that they were going to have this whole like new order of Jedi.
Oh yeah, the kid who could. Yeah, I thought that too. Where did all those Force kids go?
Well, and no offense, let's be in episode 7. They blow up the planet because again we gotta have a Death Star, and then you blow it up. Okay, fine, whatever. And I like Force Awakens, but then in 8 you're like, oh, the Resistance is down. I'm like, well, wait a minute, they just blew up, a million villains. How come they're back already? Like they just skipped it way too easily. And then like, oh, you were down to 2,000, resistance. It's like, well, wait a minute, what happened? And again, back to your thing, I'm not buying $80,000 worth of books to find the backstory on this.
Right.
And why are we just getting droids and ships hyper driving through everything? Well, that's the easiest way to kill a ship I've ever seen. And we don't need real people to do it. Get a droid to hyper drive through everything.
He's saying, why didn't they just pull a droid army
and
have automated ships start doing it?
Yeah.
I mean,
pull a holdo move and just
pull a holdo move.
Yeah.
Which that scene was awesome when she did that.
Yeah.
I wonder it didn't seem like they had a whole lot of droids or ships left.
Ooh, and her and Leia had like a lesbian relationship, correct? Were you getting...
Oh yeah. That was definitely the subtext. There was a little.
And another
how did I miss that?
Oh, you didn't get the tent. Like they were like
there was some tension.
I think I was so focused on
totally
Finn that I like completely missed the like Leia.
Hold on. Oh yeah.
Oh no, go watch whatever
you
one
porn?
you guys in, and you're like, oh yeah.
That's some fan fiction I could probably read. Wait a minute now.
Oh, I guarantee you.
Brad's like, damn it, not again.
It's out there. It's out there. They know. They have all
The Cinemaiden had to bow out, so we're okay.
Yeah, you forget who's still in here right now.
Can I say one thing though? Justin, I just want to let you know that this is what's in my basement right now.
Oh, I know.
Look at that. Look at that.
I love it.
What? Who made that,
can have your
Justin?
own
Who made
custom-
that?
You can make it out of Legos too.
No. I just wanted to give you props for that. It's
Thanks,
beautiful.
thanks.
It is good, great. I do smile at it.
I just finished a
You can
board.
have
My
your
wife's
own
not a big star.
Custom
What's that?
posters by
I just
Justin.
finished a board game. It was really fun. Someone paid me to make a board game or art for him. That was my favorite project yet.
I never told my wife after I commissioned it with you, and I never told my wife until like after you were almost done with it.
Oh, no,
And so
that's awesome.
she's not a Star Wars fan, and she's like, "What did you get?" And she likes it, but
Yeah.
she's like, "I wouldn't have picked Star Wars." I was like, "Well, it was my gift. Here you go."
At least it didn't backfire on you.
Okay. So in the Last Jedi novel,
Which I have.
Oh God.
Leia and Holdo are having a conversation talking about interspecies relationships. And Amelin, Holdo, right, is talking about different, like, beautiful dark eyes. And Leia says, "That's all right," and laughs. "It's just humanoid males for me." And Holdo says, "Really? That feels limiting." So, like, Holdo definitely is just kind of, she's probably more in the Lando category where kind of anything goes.
Oh yeah, he does robots,
I
right?
think you're right.
Right?
We did an episode where we were doing our top like gay characters from films, and I looked up a list of gay characters from films, and Lando was in it. I was like, "Oh, is he gay?" But yeah, he's considered like pansexual.
Just Glover was like, "Nope, he totally is. He totally is. I'm calling it." And really, like Oscar Isaac has said too, he's like, "Well, this is how Boyega and I played it. Like Disney wouldn't let us do it, but this is how we were acting it. Like,
Yeah,
because this is what we thought it was and what it should be."
I did like
I mean,
how
that's got to be happening in that universe. People like to have sex with weird things, so I'm sure.
But there was 2 women kissing, Justin. We couldn't do that. Oh my God, the horrors.
Because there were the 2 ladies at the end of the celebration.
Oh my God, for 3 seconds, the world is ending. Jeez, oh, Pete.
Whatever. It's like when Beauty and the Beast came out and people were freaking out about like bestiality or something. Like,
Oh, right.
No, they were worried about that Josh Gad's character was gay, but don't worry about
they were like,
bestiality going on.
bestiality because she's like in love with this animal guy.
Dude, and in that animation, the original one, Beast was way more attractive than when he got turned. When he got turned,
I was just going to say that.
Thank you.
Tail.
Yes, he's weird looking when he's
He is, and he's real French. They really they went really French with him.
And the reveal is like
from Street Fighter, yeah.
And it's
So we're all agreed we would all have sex with the Beast in Beast form, but not human form, right?
But only in the animated.
Only the animated Beast, not the live action Beast.
Not the live action one.
Yeah.
No.
Time out. Did
Yeah.
Justin just say?
I want to make sure that we have that all on
It's
record.
very clear
Cleared up. That's what we came on this live stream podcast video
to really promote.
was to really just, we needed to get to this point.
Happy Star Wars Day.
Happy Star Wars Day, everybody.
Okay, here's the question: the Beast or a mermaid? I mean, King Ulysses.
So, am I a mermaid with the mermaid, or am I a human with the mermaid?
Yeah, but she's
No,
a
no.
mermaid that turns into a human, so it's fine.
Right, but when she's a mermaid, are you also a mer person or are you human?
You got to talk to Ursula or King Triton about
Because
that.
if
I feel
every
like
Triton, that's who it is, not
because
Ulysses.
if
not a lot of
everything from the
procreating
waist
happening.
down is like a fish, it means there's a cloaca, which is one hole for everything. I'm just saying.
Guys, it's so
There's the
late, and
anatomy.
I am so tired.
Okay, so let's get this serious though.
A
The
cloaca
Beast or
is
Danny
doing that.
DeVito's character from Hercules? Which one? That's a tough call.
Character from
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but like grease him up like It's Always Sunny from Philadelphia coming out of the couch. Then we're talking.
How do you spell cloaca?
COACA.
This is where
Reptiles, fish, birds.
A common
this is where
cavity
it spirals down.
at the end of the digestive tract for the release of both excretory and genital products in vertebrates, except most mammals, and certain invertebrates, specifically the cochlea, is present in birds, reptiles, amphibians, most fish, and monotremes.
Okay, all in one.
Okay.
Justin, we're recording our podcast tomorrow night, and we do Skype now since I don't want anyone near my house, and we're videoing it. Can you just call in for 5 minutes and just say, how do you spell that? Yeah, just so I can put that as the title of the episode tomorrow. That's all I want. That's all I want.
Well, I went with a K, and you should have gone C.
Brad.
In addition to teaching sex ed, I also used to teach at the museum about like reptiles and amphibians. So I'm gonna have all.
Brad, I just want to say, dude, I get it if you never ask us to be on anything.
Oh no.
Ever again.
I find it very entertaining. So do we want to finish up with some trivia?
Yeah, let's do that.
One person gets the answer, or
I think so. We would all agree that the Beast over Emperor Palpatine, though, right?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Let's bring it back to Star Wars.
Oh,
right?
Absolutely.
Beast or Chewie? Beast or Chewie?
Chewie seems like a
hugs.
Chewie looks like a snuggler. I would probably go with Chewie.
He seems like a very gentle lover. Yeah,
and less clothes to take off. The Beast has like 80 pairs of clothes on. Chewie's just like that Mandalorian.
Yeah, Chewie's just like he's ready to go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Down to earth.
You just gotta take that bandolier off and you're good.
Yeah.
Also
Yeah.
in nature,
No,
which is a
Brad,
plus
leave the
one.
bandolier on, man.
On? Okay.
Leave it on.
I can't even look at you right now.
I don't
Probably
know what
hold you with
categories
one
are.
hand. Isn't that cool?
What did you say?
He could hold you with one hand. Like,
Yeah, no, really but he could do
Okay.
something, right?
Okay, last one. Watto or Jar Jar?
Jar Jar because of that tongue, y'all. Come on.
That can go up your coaxial.
he is very flexible.
This is it. This has ruined our marriage. We're done. It's over.
It's gonna be later on. It's like, so remember the thing I said about Jar Jar?
Hey, Brad.
Just listen
Yeah.
to
Some
Natalie
people just
Portman
want to watch the
rap,
world
right?
burn. Some people just want to watch the world burn.
Have you seen the Natalie Portman rap from Saturday Night Live?
Yes.
Where she's rapping about Star Wars?
Oh, where it's all where the guys want to like get with her, and she's like, "I want you too."
Yeah, but she
Oh,
rapped
yeah,
about
yeah.
Star Wars too.
I don't remember
The
that.
second one. The
This-
first
in
one.
the
You were talking
second
about
one.
the first one,
There's
Justin.
a second one.
Oh,
and
I didn't even saw the second one.
Jar Jar, and the number of genitals. Here.
Ooh, I need to watch that one.
Yes, you do. That's
When I
all.
went to Harvard, I smoke weed every
Let's
day.
go.
Yeah, trivia.
All right, Brad, ask a person.
Here, you got to be on the street.
Please, please.
We can just start general here. Well, what is the first object Luke telekinetically moved through the Force?
Hold on. Ooh. Hold on.
I feel like I need some like music in the background. To, like,
Shoot.
All right.
I
play.
want to answer.
And these questions are only original trilogy.
4, 5, 6.
All
Right?
right, I have an answer, but I want to wait till everyone has theirs.
I
'Cause
think I
don't
have an
it's
answer
right.
as well.
Oh,
It was an Empire.
I have an answer.
I don't think this is right, but I'm going R2D2.
All right, I'm going a photon torpedo into the hole.
When did he ever move a
When he launched it, he had to
torpedo?
use the force to guide it, man. He had to guide that photon torpedo into the hole. I used to bowl like romp rats when I was everywhere. Like that.
Well,
That's using the force.
you might
made
be
it
right.
go
I
in
don't know
air.
that that's necessarily canon. I think canonically, though, Empire Strikes Back the lightsaber, right?
The lightsaber is what I was gonna guess. Outside of that, yeah.
It is lightsaber. I don't think they went into deep thinking as you did.
But he did guide. I mean, that's moving the torpedo using the force.
I don't think so. I think he used it to know when to shoot. That's what I always.
Justin, we're gonna have to check back in the books, the comics, and I'm sure there's like a documentary episode of some kind.
There's probably a novel.
I was thinking the lightsaber when the dude got him. That's what I was.
There might be a Lego set out there that you can build.
There's probably a Lego set.
All right, let's see.
That was a good one.
Who hit himself in the head with his own bola weapon? I don't even know what a bola weapon is.
It was an Ewok.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, when he's twirling it.
It was an Ewok, but I don't know if it was.
Was it Wicket?
It was an Ewok.
Yes, it was Wicket.
It was Wicket.
I'm going Wicket. I watched.
We didn't even talk about the Caravan of Courage or the Battle for Endor. Those movies are amazing.
Sure, man.
I feel like I could have made better movies. Like you with Legos, I feel like I could have made better movies with them.
I just liked it when I was little.
You see this glitchy Zoom background we have? Better movie.
Because the monster was like that monster from Kroll, where it's clearly a guy standing in front of a movie screen.
So this one, you really got to think: who sat directly behind Luke Skywalker in the stolen Imperial shuttle? So it'd been Return of the Jedi.
All right, I gotta guess. I'm guessing Leia.
That's what I was thinking.
Where did she even go? Was she staying back on down the?
No, she was there. She was there. The only issue is she might have been in the seat next to Luke. And then you had C3. No.
Like a random rebel soldier.
It's an old
soldier.
Pass.
Soldier number 8.
Yes. Was it a Star Wars version of a red shirt?
No, it was Snooki's favorite character, C-3PO.
Ah, fudge him.
Oh, she got it right. Good job.
Who was the first character to mention the name Anakin Skywalker?
Annie?
In the original trilogy,
like
not
full name Anakin Skywalker, or just like his or Anakin. Like that's.
I don't know. It just says who was the first character to mention the name Anakin Skywalker.
I'm gonna say
Uncle Lars.
Uncle Lars.
Yeah. Yep, Lars.
It is Ben Kenobi.
Oh, you're right. Because he says
I got it right. I was thinking he might be right there with Lars.
They talk about his father, but don't mention his name.
I was watching. Which one was that? Luke was talking to the ghost of Obi-Wan, and he's like, you lied to me. And he's like, well, actually, it was Vader that killed Anakin. So in some sense, I didn't. It's like, well, you could put that to any conversation, Obi-Wan. Okay, let's calm down there, Ben.
Yeah,
I think you still lied to him. You still lied.
Right.
No, I think if there's a running theme of the entire Skywalker saga, I think Obi-Wan Kenobi says it. It's from a certain point of view.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything, like even Ben's comment about you're nothing, you come from nothing.
No,
like, all of it, everything is from a certain point of view.
I loved that comment too.
Everybody lying to everybody else about everything.
Yeah, that's the entire story.
Right.
The problem with watching episode 1 all the way to 5 is that you already know that he's Anakin Skywalker's son, and it's not a surprise. 5's not a surprise to anyone if you're watching it 1 to.
That's why you got to watch 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Or you just do 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and don't even talk about the other ones.
So I actually did that in experiment. I had 2 friends. One of them, both of them they're in their 30s, never seen Star Wars. One of them was like, "Hey, I just watched Star Wars. Let me watch it." And I was like, "Okay, we'll start with episode 4." He got 10 minutes in, because my theory is if you haven't watched it by now, you clearly just don't like sci-fi, right? And so he doesn't. And he was like, well, let me watch it. And he's like 10, 20 minutes into episode 4. And he's like, this is boring. I'm out. And so then the next guy, it was like a couple years later, somebody else asked me, hey, I should watch him. What should I watch him? I was like, you know what? I said 4 because I think that's right, but start with 1. And he was like, man, 1's fun, man. Jumping around with swords. Like, and he just, because he doesn't care. They don't give a shit about the story. They don't have any knowledge. They just wanted to watch something entertaining and fun because they don't care about sci-fi. So I was like, oh, if you're that old, you don't care. You probably should start with 1. And then when you get to 4, 5, 6, you might appreciate the acting more. But I thought it was, but yeah, my brother-in-law was the first one. He was like, man, it's like them stupid robots walking around the desert. That's boring.
That's fair. That's fair.
I was like, yeah, but they're gonna be cool. He's like, yeah, never mind.
5 is a tough one too. If you're not fully invested in Star Wars, like after New Hope, 5 is tough to watch too. The first part's great, but the Yoda scenes, I appreciate them because they show how he trains and all that. But those are sometimes tough to get through too. Like if you're just looking, if you're not invested in it, you're like, or if you're just not in the mood for that, that middle of Empire is a tough call sometimes to watch.
Empire top of their list, but that's why it's not for me. It's like I love it. I love the movie, but yeah, it's not definitely not my top favorite.
Especially because of that scene behind you. That's like the best part. Like the whole Hoth scene, so good.
Mm-hmm. I think that's why I like Return of Jedi so much because I love the battle in the forest on Endor. I love that scene.
Yeah,
when him showing up at Jabba's palace is a good one too, and I like that one. First time you see him, like, cool Luke. Oh, Brad's asking more trivia.
No, I was pointing at Jabba's palace.
Oh, you're this way to me.
Oh.
See, that's another thing, Justin. They don't make the big skiff things for toy sets, the skiff barges, but they make a delivery room. How is that fair?
When anytime they did make some of those Jabba stuff, it was never large enough. I was like, this is small. There's no way that he would hang out on this.
My kids resorted to the Imaginext Bat Cave into Jabba's palace.
Nice.
And they got it pretty much set up because it has a prison, it has a jail, it has an underneath part to it. It's like, okay, I can handle that.
All right.
Nice. All right, let's hear one.
So here's another one. What rebel was the first to realize the escape from the Death Star was too easy?
Leia.
What's that dude? Nubs with the like gills?
Nub?
Neeb Nub. I'm going him.
Are you talking episode 4?
Yeah. Oh, I'm talking about.
You got a guess, Snooki?
No,
that's a tough one.
Because they were on the Death Star where Leia was on the Death Star, wasn't she? Because she watched it blow up the thing. When
I'm going Luke.
Episode 4, she was on the Death Star, and when they are off the Death Star, because she's like, "What's the only reason for the ease of our escape?" And he's like, "You call that easy?" Han says that to her.
It was.
Han. That was a great Han.
It was Leia.
A little more Yoda than
it
Han.
was Leia.
Yeah,
it was Leia. Because she was like,
I know
that's too easy. They let us go.
They let us go.
Han was the only one that was, saying it was a difficult one.
Yeah.
What made Luke powerful, according to the Emperor?
His charming good looks.
Some Jar Jar loving.
Yeah.
I know his weakness was his love for his friends.
Weakness is his love for his friends. I think it's just like anger or something like that. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Anakin had
anger
fear.
Or hate.
You have anger?
What it is.
Yes. Strike me down. I can feel hate. I'm gonna go hate.
It is his hate.
Hate, yeah.
So what planet did Luke claim gave him the creeps?
Dagobah.
Yeah.
Dagobah.
Who wouldn't have said that?
I mean, it was the Dagobah system. Was that the actual planet name too?
Although once you're on there, it didn't seem that bad.
Yeah.
What?
He had like a little tent camp.
Yeah, it looked like Florida. It's fine.
There's anything that ever like got him, right? There's that thing that ate R2D2. That's about it.
Yeah, it's fine.
Who
I mean, I would probably
ensnared?
prefer Dagobah to Mustafar.
I'd rather live there than the Dune planet or whatever.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, could you imagine walking along Tatooine and just fall into the Sarlacc pit? You're just walking along.
Third time this week. God damn it.
These damn Sarlacc
Good thing.
pits.
Good thing Dengar's there to help me.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dengar.
Right, who ensnared Luke Skywalker with a powered cable?
Who is
Oh,
there?
Boba Fett.
Boba Fett?
Oh yeah.
Right before he cheaply
gets him
got
with
killed. All right, this might be here's an RIP. One of the best X-Wing pilots ever. What pilot was codenamed Red 6 during the first Death Star battle?
Porkins. Porkins?
Wow, you read it is Porkins. You rattled that out quick.
High five, Justin. High five. Woo. Nobody messes with Porkins.
I don't think they're naming people Porkins back then. Come on. I don't know. You're gonna be Porkins. Thanks. I really appreciate that. It said Red 6. I could have just gone with that. No, you're Porkins now.
You're Porkins.
I still think Greg Grunberg's character in the new trilogy, I think that's Porkins' son. I really do. The new pilot.
That's Snap Wexel, right?
Yeah, wasn't that
Is
that's Wedge
yeah.
Antilles?
Yeah, I know.
Yes,
You know, it's Porkins. We're going Porkins. It's Porkins' son.
Got it.
I mean, by episode 9, he definitely could fit with Porkins.
I don't have any room to talk, but at the same time,
Who is that? The guy that was in Heroes? That guy?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
He's Wedge Antilles' son.
Stepson.
Oh, what happened
Yeah.
there?
Obviously, stepson, because he died, unlike Wedge.
Well, like, so the only reason I know that is because there was a book that came out, and I was like, oh, that looks interesting.
Yeah.
And I got it. I haven't even finished the damn thing because it's so boring.
Which one is that?
I don't even remember the
It's
name of
the
it.
Poe Dameron book.
Yeah, the Poe Dameron,
Oh.
whatever. It's so boring.
I got a couple that people bought me from new ones that were like
I don't
one was like Lost Star, and I was like, ugh, this is boring.
Right. Poe Dameron book.
Yeah, I don't remember what it's called. Don't read it though. It's boring.
Yeah, I won't have to. You know, I usually don't read things, so
Snap is all you need to know.
we're okay. We're okay there. Although I did read. Have you read Catalyst? It's
Yeah.
a book that takes place before Rogue One. That one,
Yeah, that was
really
the James
good.
Lucino book, right? Yeah, that was great.
That one's really good.
I've
Yeah.
read a couple of the new ones and didn't care for them.
You should. I honestly would recommend reading Catalyst because it gives a whole backstory to
Jen Orso,
her dad.
her dad.
Yeah, Galen Urso. There's a lot more about
Yes.
Krennic. Yeah.
Yes, and kind of how the whole Death Star thing started way back in episode 2, and like
Yeah,
when they
it's
shoot
really good.
when they shoot Jane Erso's mom in Rogue One, that is some beautiful cinematography.
Yeah.
With the grass and everything. Oh my god, that is a
And
beautiful shot.
His
scene.
line, which is so nonchalantly said, like, "Oh, back from the dead," like it's just
Yeah, we were.
delivered well. That whole scene. You're
Well,
right.
I mean, if we're gonna talk about Rogue One
Yeah.
and cinematography and how well, like that whole movie is the best looking Star Wars film aside
Yes.
from The Last Jedi. I think, like, it's
Yeah.
just it's a beautifully put together, incredibly shot film.
What's his
like,
name?
oh, it absolutely is.
The guy who's the bad guy there. What's his name?
Krennic.
No, in real life.
He's
So
not
do
a bad guy in real life.
No,
The
what's
actor
his
who
name?
plays Krennic.
You talking about the guy that plays Talos and Captain Marvel?
Ben
I can tell you
Mendelsohn.
characters, but I don't know his name.
No, it's the guy who's in the new
Ben
HBO
Mendelsohn.
show.
Ben Mendelsohn.
Ben Mendelsohn.
Yeah,
that's
Ben
it.
Mendelsohn.
He's good. I like him.
Yeah.
He was the bad guy in Ready Player One, also.
Yeah.
Boss Man 69.
Boss Man 69.
That's his password in Ready Player One.
Oh. I read
They're
the book. I
talking
did not
about-
love the movie.
Thought you were talking about the big boss man from wrestling.
Oh, I forgot you're a big wrestling guy.
Hard times.
No, that was $1 Million Man. Never mind.
What's that?
But I'd said Ted DiBiase, but no, that was $1 Million Man, and also
$1 Million Man. $1 Million Man.
All right, Brad. I think I have time for one more.
One
Same.
more. All right, let's find a good one here. Good one to finish it off on. Let's see. No, that one's too easy.
I was looking at you guys for that.
We said it. We didn't want to bring it any lower.
I thought you were gonna say something like Jar Jar's tongue or something.
No, we whispered. That's what she said to ourselves, and we were.
Oh,
good.
I could see it. I saw it happening. I mean, you did say a good one to finish it off on.
The problem is now our 5-year-old says it.
Yeah, it's not a problem.
So, speaking of finishing it off, which of Vader's hands did Luke?
Saucy Brad.
Did Luke sever with his lightsaber?
Left.
They all lose their left hand. Everybody loses their left hands.
This says it's the right.
Yeah, it's his right hand.
I thought it was left.
It's
still
the
going
hand,
left.
not the wrong hand.
I don't know if you've been watching, but Brian, who's been going on this live stream with us, I think he should have been on this show because he has hit every answer right on YouTube comments here. Every single answer is impressive.
Brian, congrats.
They're on the side.
The people talking about Star Wars on a live stream.
Brian sends us questions on Hobie, and it's impressive. I will say it is impressive.
Yeah, he's had some good stuff down there. I've been trying to keep up with it.
He said they do make the Skiff playset, but it's $500.
Yeah, it's very expensive.
Jeez, that's not a playset.
And that's the thing. It's like my kids, they don't destroy toys, but they're going to be playing with it and nicking it up and that. So it's like
it's also one
I'm not paying that.
So like it's the size of a house, guys. Like I mean, what do you
really?
Want? No, it's big.
Oh.
It's not.
Is it bigger than the G.I. Joe aircraft carrier?
This is a skiff for ants.
That was huge.
Yes,
that was
I
like
think it is, but it's also like a 12-inch figure, not a 3 3/4 inch.
Damn it!
The skiff.
Well, I want to thank you guys for coming on to the live stream to talk Star Wars with us. Before you go, where can we find History of Bad Ideas, Jason, or Supreme Leader Snooky?
Snooky. You can find us at the History of Bad Ideas on Facebook. Give us a like. You can find us on Twitter at Bad Ideas Podcast and on Instagram at the History of Bad Ideas. I think we don't do much on Instagram.
Question mark?
Maybe.
What about the
Rumor
TikTok?
has it.
You got a TikTok, History of Bad Ideas TikTok?
No.
No.
The only reason we had an Instagram is number one fan Doug actually set one up for us. So he's like, here's your password. It's like, hey, thanks. But yeah, we record every Tuesday night and we do very little editing because it's a very conversational piece and we're lazy. So it goes up usually Tuesday night around midnight Eastern time. So we're on episode 332 right now.
Wow, that's
332.
a lot of episodes.
Yeah, we're way behind, Justin.
Yeah, we just hit
We're
one.
never catching up.
We have not missed, and I'm not kidding, we have not missed a week in 6.5 years.
That's awesome.
So,
Awesome.
or depressing. Either one, I'm not sure.
Full Frontal Nerdity, where will you guys be set up next?
Nowhere.
Our
What?
kitchen, living room, dining room.
6 feet apart from somebody
Yeah. We're in a weird.
in a flux.
We haven't really, so we don't
Yeah,
have a
we're in
website
flux.
right now. We kind of like stopped it because I'm in grad school and he's working,
Fair.
and, just all that kind of stuff. And
We do have a Facebook page.
And an
And an Instagram since at Cincy Nerdity. We can still do custom orders. We can do like all kinds of fun stuff.
And they always make really cool stuff for our live shows. Which
Yes,
is cool
we
too.
always have.
Yeah,
awesome
we
things
love-
from you guys.
it's more custom stuff at this point.
Yeah, and we love like
That's
collaborating with you guys and other people around town that want to do stuff like that. So
Really, what we do now is just make stuff for you guys.
that's true. Yeah, we're just
That's
your
honestly,
we're your
for the probably
merchandiser.
last
Yeah.
year or so. That's the only stuff
Yeah.
we've done. Is
It's really fun. I love giving it away.
Well, then Paper Street.
oh yeah, that's true. We do
Yeah.
stuff for Paper Street Trading Company.
Hopefully, we can do a live event sometime in the future. Who knows when? Who knows?
If you guys do Major League at the Esquire, I'm down there. I'll help you. The movie Major
We
League.
did do Major League.
We
had
did. It was
6
our
people.
biggest bust, I think.
The problem was you did it because I remember talking to you about this, Brad, but you didn't have Corbin Burns in there. That's the issue.
I think
That's
that's
the
the
issue.
issue with a lot of things. Honestly, is that
Yeah.
Corbin is not involved.
That's right.
Like, I mean,
Maybe if you did Major League 3 back in the minors.
Back in the minors.
There we go. That's what I need. Thank you everyone again, and
night,
may the
guys.
4th be with you.